Hello. As you can see, I'm back in my natural environment, beside Lake Atitlan. On this beautiful day, I thought I'd get out a little bit earlier. Normally I come out and do these videos at sunset, but it's still rainy season, and the last week has been torrential in the afternoon, so I'm taking my opportunity now to talk with you about the Trecena of No'j. And I kind of lined the camera up. You can see here's a parting in the reeds right here, and this little bump here, that's Serra de Oro, okay, which you may recognise from the book The Little Prince. That's where that shape comes from, apparently. Anyhow, and do my little bit of housekeeping before we move on with the Trecena of No'j. If you would like to get a reading with me, of course, go to my page, the4pillars.net, and you will see on a tab or on the menu, there is a page not marked readings. You'll see on there that I've added some readings on, so it's not just the regular life path or Mayan astrology reading that I give. It's also couples readings, the path of the plumed serpent as you go through your 28 days of renovation, and Tz'ite divinations that I'm offering on there. So if any of those sounds interesting to you, go and check them out on my page and sign up and come and get a reading with me. And if you're really into this stuff, then I also will be teaching a course or workshop from the 20th of October through to the 24th of October. That will be a Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Guatemala time. Okay, so the Trecena of No'j, what's it all about? Well, the Trecena of the problem solver, the Trecena of the mind, the Trecena of thought and knowledge. And I would like to obviously begin the Trecena of No'j on the 11th of October. And the reason why I want to begin straight away is simply because 1 No'j, I think, is a very important day, because it is a day of knowledge and novelty. New learning, new beginnings, new knowledge that's coming into our mind to be stored, new solutions coming up. And, you know, I think this is something that obviously, like, our world could very much do with right now, is to find some of those new solutions, because the old solutions aren't working anymore. So, in order to find those new solutions, we have to go out and find new information, and new knowledge, and new understanding about things. And for me, this is all about 1 No'j. Now, the one I like to see is that seed. I like to think about that seed needing the right amount of rain and fertilizer, the right amount of warmth and soil in order to grow and become all that it can become. So it's like a seed of knowledge, something new that we're bringing in. But also, it needs some encouragement. So maybe you've got a new idea that you're coming up with. Maybe, you know, kind of like you're looking for some new knowledge or something like that. Well, you've got to be in the right environment to find it. And this is exactly what we could see. So, like, go find the environment that nourishes your mind. Go find the environment that nourishes your cognitive abilities. And find the environment that helps you to solve the problems, whether it's in your family or your community or the world in general. On the 12th of October, we will then move into Tz'ite. So, Tz'ite, the Nawal of the obsidian blade, the one that brings clarity, the one that purifies. And here, combined with the number 2, the number which represents duality. Left or right, up or down, 1 or 0. All of those things, okay? And so it is very starkly contrasted. It is either this way or that way. Now, the number 2 can also represent partnerships. It can represent relationships and love. And, you know, if we bring all those things together, especially with the Nawal of Tz'ite, we can understand that this is all about purification and seeing both sides in order to purify. Now, this might be purification within your relationship, cutting through to what's important, what's true. Maybe this is part of that new problem-solving process. We can also kind of imagine that, for me, the Tihash, yes, it divides, but it divides in order to heal. It divides to purify. It cuts away the disease or the damage in order to bring out purity, in order to bring out something of a higher purpose. And here we can see it being very decisive, yes or no, 1 or 0, with the way it swings its blade. With the number 2, I often feel there's no middle ground. It's either, kind of like cut it away or keep it in the case of Tihash. And so it may bring you a very decisive discernment as to what you wish to cut away and what you wish to keep. Now, this is occurring during the Trecena of knowledge, during the Trecena of thought. So maybe this is very much about clarifying your thoughts to bring, ultimate clarity to very, very high contrasting yes or no as to what knowledge you're going to hold on to and what knowledge maybe has been superseded by now. Maybe it's something that, it used to work for us, it doesn't work anymore. So Tihash might be quite final in its choice as to what to hold on to and what to let go of, but it should also be very clear in those things. From Tihash, we then move into 3 Kawok on the 13th of October. So we have Kawok, the Nawal of the rain, the Nawal of the storm. Well, thankfully, it's just white clouds right now, so thankfully Kawok has smiled on me today for the moment anyway. And here we have it with the number 3. Now, in the Mayan cross, 3 Kawok is the future of 8 bats, 8 bats being the most sacred day of the calendar. And 8 bats is conceived in 13 Akhabal, which we could see as, kind of like the concept that comes from the ancestors or the concept that comes from spirit. So we see that ancestral concept woven through 8 bats and then put into 3 Kawok. And we think, well, hang on, what does 3 Kawok represent then? And for me, I think it's a very, very important day. It's a very, very special day. Kawok representing the rain, but also representing the midwife, that which births the new into the world or assists with the birth of the new into the world. And what's it birthing? I think it's birthing the new world. Okay? That weaving that has taken place through the Washiki Bats process is about weaving the new world into existence, weaving the new cycle of time into existence. And when we look at the number 3, we see that it can represent the home, but it can also represent the inner world. It's about what's coming from within. The 3 can be referred to as representing the home place, the hearthstones of creation, the 3 stars, Alnitak, Saiph and Rigel, in the constellation of Orion, surrounding the Orion Nebula, which is said to be the place of emergence. And so when we see it coupled with Kawok, Kawok being the one who assists the birth, whereas the birth being assisted from the place of emergence, the home place. So it's like really kind of like what has been held inside emerging into the new world. So it's a great day for bringing those new things in. It's a great day for birthing whatever it is that you might have been creating into the world. Now, Kawok, I do see sometimes, I refer to her as tough love, because she is determined to make that happen, and sometimes going through that birthing process is, kind of like it's going to cause us some pain as well, but we know that it has to happen. And so it's like really looking inside for your creativity to understand what it is that you want to birth into the world. That could be a wonderful exercise for that day 3 Kawok. Now, I've mentioned that this is the birthing of the new world. And that new world could be represented by 4 Achpu, which is going to fall on the 14th of October. Why? Well, if we were to look back at creation dates, we would find that 4 often figures rather highly. Now, there is always this point of like, is it the end? Is it the beginning? It's a kind of a bit like midnight on the clock. Is that the end of the day or the beginning of the day? You know, it's this changeover point. It's bringing something new in. Now, for me, one of the things that I would suggest with it is that we see this date which has been referred to as the creation date. We saw it on the 21st of December 2012, which was 4 3 Kankin, and we saw it on the 12th or 13th of August 3114 BC, depending on like whose interpretation you get for it, as the creation of the 4th era of the sun, the beginning of that cycle of 13 Bactuns that led us up to 2012. And so it's like beginning of the new era, okay? And the way that I see it, the number 4 represents the physical plane of existence, and the Arpu represents the divine. So it's like the manifestation of the divine into the physical plane of existence. That's why I see it as this kind of like day, which if it's not creation, you know, this is kind of like it is preparing the ground for it. You know, for me, it's very much this is the child which is being born into the world. The Arpu representing the divine, representing the corn, representing the ancestors, representing all of those kind of things in its way, being manifested into the physical world. Okay? And so for me, this is a very, very important day of creation. It's about creating the divine into the physical. Now, you know, on 4 Arpu days, well, one 4 Arpu day, I was building my dojo, my teaching space, my sacred space. Why? Because it's the manifestation of the divine, the temple, into physical existence as it is. Okay? And so 4 carries this practical element to it, right? It's down to earth, it's grounded, it's kind of like laying the foundations. But here it's connected with the sun, it's connected with this highly divine force. And so, you know, for me, like I say, this grounding of the divine into the physical, into the material realm, is a perfect example of what we maybe should be doing on that 4 Arpu day. So, as I say, you know, if we're looking at it with connection to the Trecena of No'j, the Trecena of No'j about the knowledge and the development of knowledge, well, perhaps this is using our knowledge and using our mind to understand how to bring divinity into our world. Because, you know, it's all very well reading scripture or whatever it might be, but how do we actually physically manifest that into the physical world? 4 Arpu may be a wonderful day to be working that out and solving that problem. From 4 Arpu, we then move into 5 Imosh. So, Imosh, the lake, the water that joins us all together. Imosh, the dream world, the collective consciousness, the creativity that comes from our dreams. And here we see it with the number 5, representing work, representing hard work. And so 5 Imosh, for me, could be seen very much as representing putting our work into our dreams. Now, hopefully we all have a dream that we're working towards. You've got to have a dream, as they say, you know. But, like, do we actually spend much time putting our energy into it? You know, kind of like, is it just I suppose a pipe dream or something like that, whereas, yeah, it's just off there somewhere in the future, and hopefully with a bit of luck one day it might happen or something like that? Or do we actively engage our energy and put our work into fulfilling that dream? Because 5 Imosh could be the perfect day to do that. Now, Imosh, I simultaneously see about, like, it helps us to connect with the collective, but it also helps us to embrace our individuality, because sometimes that's exactly what we got to do. And in this Trecena of new thought, in this Trecena of new ideas, perhaps tapping into new knowledge may be something that we can help to use to manifest our dreams. Now, 5 Imosh, that 5, put your work into it. So maybe it's about, you know, kind of like putting your work into the seeking of that knowledge in order to help you to manifest your dreams into the world. From 5 Imosh, we then go into 6 Ik on the 16th of October. So, Ik, the Nawal of the wind. I just see the reeds rippling over there as a breath of air comes through. And here, Ik combined with the number 6, the number of ultimate stability, where we combine the physical plane with the connection to the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth. A day of stable communication. A day of family communication, because the 6 is often representative of the family as well. And as such, kind of like, this is a day when maybe we have to, use our best voice, use our best words to get this new information over to our family. The 6, with its stability, this is tapped into the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth. It's tapped into the higher frequencies, as it were, but it's still able to bring it down to ground. It's able to manifest it out. In fact, in some ways, with the strength of the Nawal Ik, because Ik can be extremely strong. I mean, it can be the hurricane. This nice balanced day of the 6 might give us the exact measure of the word, the kind of like divinely inspired word that we're able to bring into the physical world. So if we were looking at this might also be either for listening to or speaking this new knowledge that we're looking for during this Trecena of No'j. 6 Ik will be the great day to be communicating it in a balanced yet inspired way, and particularly if you have to communicate it with your family. From 6 Ik, we're then moving into 7 Akbal. And 7 Akbal will fall on the 17th of October. So, Akbal, the Nawal of the dawn and the dusk. Akbal, the in-between worlds, the new concept. And here, the number 7. The 7 representing the top of the pyramid, representing choices that we make when we're able to see with our vantage point from the top of the pyramid, from the top of the hill. And so it gives us the understanding about choosing which new concept we want to take forwards. The 7 can represent endings. In fact, 7 Akbal. Now, right now, let me see if I can work it out. Probably just about over there is about where sunrise is. Okay, the end of this peak on Tz'ite Hill from here is directly east. So it's just a little bit past east. We're just a little bit past the equinox. And, quite often I'm down here or awake before the sunrise. And the sky turns these beautiful oranges and purples and reds and golds. It's amazing to be down here at that time of day. And then the first ray of the sun's light pierces the horizon. Now, before the sun has risen, that's Akbal, that's the twilight. Once the sunrise has started, Akbal's job is done. It's time to move on. Okay? And for me, that first ray of sun piercing the horizon represents 7 Akbal. It's the end of the twilight. It's the final revelation, because I see Akbal representing the bringing into the light that which has been in the darkness, that which has been hidden. Now it's interesting, in this time of new information, in this Trecena of No'j, that 7 Akbal falls in there exactly to finish our concepts, choose which concept we want to bring into the world, but also to finalize something which may have been hidden in the darkness, something which has been hidden in the darkness for a long time, may be revealed with that first light. It's kind of like it's the time to finish that off, kind of like it's been rising for some time. Now it's time for that to rise into the light. So maybe that's what that 7 Akbal might represent. On the 18th of October, we will then move into 8 Cat. So we have Cat, the Nawal of the net, Cat, the Nawal of attachment. And here with the number 8, now cat can represent the net into which we have harvested our corn or whatever it might be, the net where we may have caught our fish or whatever, and the 8th day is often a ceremonial day. It's a day to give thanks. It's a day to make our offerings, to give thanks for what we've caught in our net, what we've multiplied. So, of course, every day is a good day to give thanks, really, isn't it? But 8 cat is a great day to give thanks for our abundance. It's also a great day for ceremonial removal of that which we no longer need to carry, because our net becomes heavy. Our net gets full. We allow it, things multiply and multiply and multiply. And we cannot have infinite growth. There has to be a limit. The net has a limit. And so there comes a point in time when we have to say, right, okay, it's too heavy or it's too full. I have to work out whether I really want to carry all of those things that I'm carrying in the net right now. And 8 cat gives us exactly that opportunity. The number 8, I like to think of as the 1 and the 7 brought together in wholeness. So it's being able to see in wholeness what is being carried in the net, whether it's useful or whether it's no longer useful. Sometimes those things which were once a great blessing, they just become a burden because we just don't need them anymore. We've passed that point. So we're using our new information. And this, in this Trecena of information, perhaps this is also about the thoughts that you carry. Again, that Tz'ite hash, we were kind of like cutting away certain things. With this 8 cat, it might be about giving gratitude to thoughts or ideas or knowledge that have taken you to a certain distance, but then realizing in order to go further, I need to release my mind from that particular idea in order to embrace that particular idea that takes me on. You see what I mean? And so whether it is physically, mentally, emotionally or spiritually, 8 day is a great day to have the whole of your net illuminated, to understand exactly what it is that you want to hold on to, what you want to multiply and what you want to let go of. On the 19th of October, we then move into 9 Can. So we have Can, the Nawal of the serpent, Can, the Nawal of power and wisdom, Can, the Nawal of teachers, combined with the number 9, representing the feminine and representing life itself. And so we could see this very much as the day of female teachers. This is very important. The day of feminine wisdom, the day of life wisdom. Those 3 ideas, I think, should stand out very strongly on the day 9 Can. So it's kind of like, it may be looking to the wisdom of the women in order to empower all of us. It's also understanding the wisdom of life. That wisdom should bring empowerment. It should bring empowerment for all. That's what it's there for, to help us to see through illusion. So maybe, it might be the wisdom of the women that help us to see through whatever illusions we might be under. Now, I look at No'j as representing thought and knowledge and information, and Can as representing the evolution of that into wisdom. And so it's really interesting that, kind of like we began with one No'j, the new idea, the new knowledge, and we're going into the 9 Can, where that knowledge has now been delivered as life wisdom. So I think it's a very interesting and important day, the 9 Can energy. It's really about a day to tap into your life force. So perhaps a meditation, perhaps meeting with a female teacher, perhaps doing some kind of energy work may really open up your life's wisdom, your life force energy. From 9 Can, we then move into 10 Kame on the 20th of October. So Kame representing death, Kame representing transformation, and the number 10 representing community, representing agreement. Now, at first glance, or at first hearing, This sounds like a very scary day, quite honestly, doesn't it? I mean, death in the community is something that, well, we're all going to face at some point in time, but none of us actually wants to face. But there's something more to it than that, of course, and that's Kamei, which is our connection with the ancestors. It's also our spiritual transformation. I like to think of Kamei as being the soul alchemist. They help us to face our fears and go up to the next level. Now we have it there with the number 10, which is this coming together, making agreements. And so, when we look at it like that, we see that 10 Kamei can be about reaching out to our community to help us to overcome whatever we might fear. Maybe our neighbours, maybe our friends, maybe our family or whoever has kind of been through the situation that we fear. Maybe, kind of like that's part of it. Maybe we can reach out to them to ask to give a hand up. Or maybe we see somebody who's really struggling with some situation that they're in, some fear that they have, and we have the opportunity to reach out our hand and give them a help up the ladder. Maybe it's that new knowledge that we've taken on that helps us to bring that together, to bring that out. That 10 Kamei, we've got that idea that, it's cooperation that helps us to overcome the things that frighten us to death, as it were. But it's also the connection with the ancestors, and maybe it's through the knowledge, that new knowledge that comes in, that helps us to do just that. From 10 Kamei, we then move into 11 Kech, on the 21st of October. So, Kech, the Nawal of the wilderness, the Nawal of the tree place, the mountain place, getting out into nature, connecting with nature and getting your strength from there. And here, the number 11, the number 11 being that strong number, being that number, we don't know which way it's going to go next. It's like a rocket with a broken stick. And I sometimes call the 11 Kech day the stampede. Because Kech can represent the horse, Kech can represent the deer, and the 11 is this strong, powerful, random direction that it might be going in. So, of course, kind of like this is a very powerful day. Yes, a day when we have to take care a little bit. Kech can be very determined in what it does, but Kech can also be very stubborn in what it does. And when we combine that with the number 11, the powerful and slightly directionless number, it's like if it gets an idea in its head that is not grounded, if it gets an idea in its head that's not connected with the natural world, then we don't know which way it's going to go. And it's going to go off like head down, horns out, like going straight towards things, or antlers out, I suppose it should say. And so it is a day on which I want to use, I don't know why, I want to use the phrase the hair trigger. We have to be really careful that we don't kind of like fly off on a hair trigger before we've really kind of like discerned things. See, Kech has very strong senses. That's how the deer senses the hunter or whatever it might be. It knows what's going on, what belongs in the natural world and what doesn't belong in the natural world. And obviously the guns don't belong in the natural world, and that's the way the deer senses the hunter. But sometimes our senses can be deceived. How many, like for those of you who may have ridden horses, sometimes we'll be riding along and there'll be like a plastic bag fluttering in the hedgerow or something like that. And the horse is looking at it going, I don't know what that is. And it will go all the way around it. And of course, there's no way that we can kind of like guide the horse back. Once it's made up its mind about it, it's going that way. Now, did it need to be scared of it? No, not really. It's not very nice having plastics littering our environment, but, it's not something to necessarily for the horse to fear. But such is the sensitivity that if it can't be identified, it may be feared. And especially when it's out of the natural environment. So, like all Kech days, I would really strongly recommend getting out into nature on the Kech day to help to kind of like tame your senses. Not to dull them down, but to calibrate them so that you really know what you're looking at, so you don't fly off in some direction thoughtlessly but stubbornly. Okay, and of course, if this is the general energy of the day, be aware for other people that that may be happening too. You know, kind of like when somebody seems to be acting in a really stubborn way, you know, if the horse or the deer is charging towards you, what do? You step out of the way, right? You know, it's kind of like, don't try and stand there and kind of like go, whoa, horsey. Sometimes that's what they've got to go through. And so, you know, kind of like that stubbornness with that number 11 can't necessarily be changed. So it's more important to identify it, to ground yourself with the natural environment so that you can get the best out of the sensitivity that comes from it. On the 22nd of October, we then move into 12 Anil. So, Anil, the Nawal of the corn, the Nawal of the maize, the Nawal of ripening, of yellowing. And here, with the number 12, the number which can represent the bringing together of all of life's experiences. So it's like bringing your life experience together to ripen. It's like, you know, kind of like understanding how to use, in this case, because of the Trecena of No'j, all of the knowledge that you've gained through all of your life experiences. How can you use that to help to ripen yourself, to help to bring ripeness to your family and to your community? See, Anil does represent abundance. That abundance that comes from the milpa. And, you know, kind of like when we're growing our corn, we have to use our life experience to know, right, okay, now I'm going to need to give it some water. Now I'm going to need to mound the soil up around the stems. Now I'm going to plant my beans around the outside, as I just did with my new field of corn that I'm growing and that kind of thing. You know, it's kind of like it's that life knowledge that helps to bring in that ultimate ripeness. And so 12 Anil, as we're going through that Trecena of No'j, may well be, you know, how can I use the knowledge that I carry? How can I use the new knowledge that comes in? How can I use my life experience to help to bring things to their greatest abundance, their greatest brightness? And finally, in this Trecena of No'j, we come to the day 13 Toch on the 23rd of October 2025. Toch, the Nawal of service, the Nawal of payment, the Nawal of offering, and the Nawal of the sacred fire itself. Toch gives us the opportunity to give back for what we've received, perhaps to give back on behalf of the knowledge that we've received. Toch is an opportunity to make our ceremony, to make our fire. And here we see it connected with the number 13, the number of the ancestors, the number of spirit. And so ancestral ceremony may certainly be highly figured within this day 13 Toch. But it's also about making our payment to the ancestors for what we've received. Perhaps making our payment to the ancestors for the knowledge that we've received. Now, there's also something else which is in there, which it's not just necessarily making our payment to the ancestors. It might also be making our payments on behalf of the ancestors. Because, you know, we've all got different ancestors. Our ancestors were people. They did things. Maybe they're things we wouldn't necessarily agree with now. Those things happen. And perhaps we are carrying that burden in our lineage. Perhaps some debt that great-great-grandpa ran up, 100 years ago or whatever it might be. Well, we didn't know about that. Maybe they took something that wasn't theirs or something like that. 13 Toch gives us the opportunity to make a ceremony, to give back in some kind of ceremonial way, to make amends for what has been taken. And so, as I said, it's not just making a ceremony to give thanks for what, kind of like for what we've received from the ancestors. It could also be a great day to be making some kind of ceremony to clear your lineage from any kind of ancestral burdens or ancestral debts that you might hold. So, I hope that these 13 days have been interesting to you. And I look forward to seeing you again in 13 days' time for the Trecena of Tz'ite. Thank you.